Welcome back to Charette Theory, where we explore the deeper rhythms of design, the ones that don't just shape how our spaces look, but how they feel, how they move, how they breathe. Today, we're stepping away from the enclosed, the confined, the rigid. We're stepping into summer. This episode is about more than patios and outdoor decor. It's about a way of living, one that's slower, lighter, and more attuned to the rhythms of nature. It's about tropical modernism. And it begins not with a catalogue of furniture or finishes, but with a breath. A breeze. The gentle ripple of light on water. Let's begin. Tropical modernism is not just a visual language, it's a spatial philosophy that emerged where heat and humidity meet modernist restraint. It's what happens when clean lines, open plans, and honest materials meet the lush unpredictability of the tropics. It's architecture that listens before it speaks. Design that shelters without closing off. A way of building that respects climate, embraces shadow, and blurs the boundaries between what is inside and what lies just beyond. Imagine this, it's early morning. The light is soft, golden, and new. You slide open the doors to your patio, and the boundary between home and landscape disappears. The air is already warm, scented with frangipani, salt, and sun-warmed stone. Your bare feet meet the cool surface of polished concrete. The leaves of a banana palm cast long, trembling shadows across a woven rug. A chair waits in the corner, basking in the dappled light. This isn't just a patio. It's an invitation to slow down, to open up, to feel present. In today's episode, we'll explore how you can bring this philosophy to life in your own outdoor space. Whether you have a sprawling terrace with views of the ocean, a city balcony overlooking rooftops, or just a quiet corner by your back door, tropical modern design can help you create something more than decorative. It can help you build a living environment, a space that is both structured and free, intimate yet expansive. We'll talk about layout and flow, how to align your space with light and breeze. We'll dive deep into materials, what to choose, how they feel, and how they age. We'll consider plants not as ornaments, but as architectural components. We'll think about furniture that invites stillness, lighting that transforms evenings, and rituals that root the space in who you are. This is about crafting your own open-air sanctuary, one that feels effortless, timeless, and deeply, deeply yours. All meaningful design begins with stillness, an act of observation, of listening. Before you add a single object to your patio or balcony, pause and pay attention. When does the light enter this space? Does it rise over the left-hand wall? Does it leave you in shadow by late afternoon? Is there a breeze that moves through at dusk? Or does the air hang still and heavy? Tropical modernism doesn't begin with furniture or color palettes. It begins with the climate, the real, living character of your space. And it never imposes. It responds. This style is built on transitions, the soft thresholds between what is constructed and what is organic. To embrace tropical modernism, dissolve the boundaries. Let your space blur. Where does the house end and the world begin? Can your doors disappear into walls? Can curtains drift in the breeze? Can a glass panel slide away, turning your living room into an open-air pavilion? Large openings, sliding doors, folding panels, even retractable screens, allow interior and exterior to speak to one another. These portals aren't just functional, they're symbolic. They turn your home into something more porous, more dynamic. The inside becomes part of the outdoors, and the outdoors feels sheltered, shaped, an extension of your personal space. Consider overhead structures next. Pergolas, wooden trellises, slatted overhangs, they all play with shadow and movement. As the sun arcs across the sky, light filters in gentle patterns, dappling the floor and changing the mood. Shade becomes more than shelter, it becomes design in motion. A canopy of wood or woven palm not only filters harsh light but also mimics the natural layering of a tropical forest: leaf, air, leaf, sky. Design here is less about symmetry and more about rhythm. Repetition with variation. Use layered elements to echo nature's complexity, railings that double as plant trellises, shutters that fold in rhythmic patterns, ceilings that breathe. Now, look to materials. The conversation between inside and outside depends on a shared language. Let textures and tones repeat across that threshold. A stone used for your interior flooring could continue onto your patio, blurring the separation. A wood grain on your coffee table might echo in your decking or wall screens. Use common threads, a terracotta pot echoed in indoor tiles, a cane weave that appears in both lounge chair and dining bench. This continuity doesn't just create aesthetic flow, it creates sensory familiarity. And finally, remember, the connection to nature isn't only visual. It's physical. It's temporal. It's emotional. When you design your patio with tropical modernism in mind, you're not just creating a place to sit. You're inviting in the rhythms of sun and breeze, shadow and scent. You're creating a space that changes as the day does, a place where the golden light of late afternoon feels different than the bright white shimmer of noon. Your patio becomes a threshold, not just between home and garden, but between containment and openness. Between stillness and movement. Between shelter and sky. And in that space, life unfolds just a little more slowly. A little more consciously. In the language of tropical modernism, materials do the speaking. They whisper of climate, of craft, of history. They don't decorate, they define. This isn't a style of excess or ornament. It's about letting a few elemental materials speak fully and allowing their natural character to shape the mood of your space. Begin with wood. In the tropics, wood isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, a living material that flexes and breathes with heat and moisture. Teak, with its dense grain and golden tone, resists humidity and grows more beautiful with age. Eucalyptus offers a fine balance between resilience and texture. Acacia brings warmth in both color and grain. And bamboo, light, strong, fast-growing, is more than a material. It's a philosophy of renewal. Let wood ground your space. Use it in slatted walls, low benches, table frames. Let it frame your thresholds and form your shade structures. Don't polish it too smooth. Let it feel lived in. Let it gray in the sun. The patina is not imperfection, it's memory. Next, Introduce contrast. Tropical modernism always balances soft with hard, organic with architectural. That's where stone enters the palette. Think of rough basalt stepping stones leading through green. Think of creamy limestone slabs that stay cool beneath bare feet. Think of poured concrete, pale and smooth like river stone, formed into a daybed base or a garden bench. These elements are not decorative. They are foundational, practical, beautiful, and deeply tactile. Consider textures that ask to be touched. A wall of hand-troweled stucco. A terrazzo surface flecked with coral or shell. A clay urn fired imperfectly, its surface rough and dappled with smoke. These aren't the flat finishes of factory polish. They carry the memory of the hand, the mark of the process. They age with grace. In the tropical modern palette, color doesn't arrive in loud declarations. It emerges from the earth. From sand and salt and sun. Use tones that feel sun-warmed and time-tested, ochre and umber, charcoal and ash, olive and faded jade. Let rusted iron show its weathering. Let copper lamps turn green. These colors don't pop, they belong. Then, add accent moments, small, strong touches that ground the space. A sliver of matte black in a light fixture or chair leg. A brushed bronze handle. The dark grain of burnt wood. These are the commas in your composition, the pauses that give the rest of the materials rhythm and depth. Underfoot, every step should invite a deeper connection. Smooth timber decking that warms under the morning sun. Large format tiles with a fine grit texture. A pebble-inlaid concrete surface that crackles softly as you walk. These materials don't just support the furniture, they shape the way you move through the space. And throughout all of this, let the imperfections stay. Let the cracks show. Let the surface stain. In tropical modernism, weathering isn't a flaw, it's a kind of biography. A story of sun and rain, of time spent outdoors, of human touch. Together, these materials create more than a mood. They create a climate of calm. A tactile richness that asks you to slow down, to linger, to feel the wind on wood, the stone beneath your feet, the sun glancing off a rattan armrest. It's not just a design palette. It's a way of being. Furniture in a tropical modern patio isn't merely placed, it's composed. It exists not just to fill space, but to shape movement, to suggest pause, to extend an invitation. This is not about filling the patio with pieces, but about selecting those few that create harmony between the human body and the surrounding environment. Start with the ground. In tropical modernism, the furniture often sits low, not in a gesture of minimalism, but as a way to merge with the landscape. Imagine a broad teak chaise, its legs barely lifting it from the deck, drawing your eye horizontally toward the view. Or a modular sofa with deep seats and simple cushions, open to gathering, but just as welcoming when you lie back alone, eyes half closed in the late afternoon warmth. Choose silhouettes that feel settled, not perched. Wide arms. Tapered legs. Curved backs that echo the arc of the breeze. A woven rattan lounge chair that hugs your form. A eucalyptus daybed under a wood pergola, draped with linen, where you can stretch out with a book or simply drift with the clouds. These are not stiff, precious objects. They're pieces meant to live in the elements, to sun fade, to collect salt from the air, to feel the warmth of skin and the occasional splash of rain. Opt for materials that welcome this aging, hardwoods like teak and acacia that don't flinch at moisture, or metal frames powder-coated in earth tones that blend into the natural palette. Woven fibers, rattan, seagrass, synthetic wicker, bring a softness, a visual texture, a human hand. Cushions matter here. Not too thick, not too ornate. Choose natural fabrics that breathe, linen, canvas, cotton blends. Let their tones mirror their surroundings, off-whites, sandy neutrals, the grey-green of coastal plants. a palette that feels as though it's been sifted from the beach itself. These cushions don't need to be perfect. In fact, they shouldn't be. Let them carry the creases of use, the softening of time. And then, introduce anchors. A solid coffee table in concrete or stone. Not flashy, not ornate, but grounding. Let it hold a lantern, a bowl of fruit, a stack of books softened by ocean air. Consider side tables that can be moved easily, nested if needed, fluid in use, light in spirit. These anchor points allow for flexibility. They serve both solitude and social moments. As you arrange your furniture, don't only think in terms of use, think in terms of flow. Where does the morning light fall? Where does the breeze move most easily? Leave breathing space between pieces. Let pathways remain clear. Arrange for intimacy, not crowding. Create a nook with 2 chairs angled slightly inward, no table between them, where conversation becomes inevitable. Or open up a lounge zone where one can recline fully without obstruction, and look out toward water, garden, or sky. And remember rhythm. Repetition of form creates calm. A pair of identical stools. 2 low lounges facing the same view. A cluster of floor cushions that invite spontaneous gatherings. The patio should not feel like a showroom. It should feel like a landscape, composed, organic, able to evolve. Here, form doesn't overpower function, but neither is it purely utilitarian. A beautifully curved chair is not less functional, it is more human. A sofa that wraps the corner of your patio frames not only space, but experience. You are designing not just for the eye, but for the body, the breath, the way your foot brushes against the edge of a bench as you pass. Because in the end, furniture in a tropical modern patio is not about permanence. It's about presence. It's about stillness and motion, comfort and clarity, all held in perfect, open-air balance. In tropical modernism, plants do not sit on the periphery. They are not accents, nor are they mere decorations. They are architecture. Living, breathing elements that structure space, filter light, and remind us, always, of the living systems we inhabit. They are form, function, and soul. Step into a tropical patio, and the first sensation should be one of immersion, not into chaos, but into a verdant rhythm. Begin by choosing your anchors. These are your vertical statements, your sculptural presences. A bird of paradise, standing tall with paddle-like leaves that catch the wind like sails. A banana palm, its frond stretching outward like a gesture of welcome. A mature monstera, leaves cleaved into dramatic shapes, casting organic shadows across stone and stucco. These plants don't just fill space, they define it. They guide the eye upward, soften the geometry of beams and walls, and offer moments of surprise when a breeze animates them. In a style that often embraces hard edges and restrained lines, these bold, green forms provide a necessary counterpoint, fluid, asymmetrical, alive. Now move lower. Beneath these tall forms, build your understory. Layer in foliage that offers contrast and texture. Delicate maidenhair ferns that tremble in the breeze. Calatheas with painterly leaves that unfurl and fold with the sun. Philodendrons that spill from raised planters in generous cascades. This is where your space begins to feel enveloped, not crowded, but curated. Lush, but intentional. Color comes sparingly, but purposefully. A flowering heliconia, standing like sculpture in a clay pot. A burst of ginger in deep pink, its cone-like blooms peeking between leaves. Perhaps a single bougainvillea draping down from above, its paper-thin blossoms glowing like lanterns at dusk. In tropical modernism, color is never scattered, it's placed. A punctuation, not a paragraph. And let's not forget the containers themselves. In this design language, a plant's vessel is just as meaningful as its foliage. Choose materials that whisper of earth and time, unglazed terracotta, with its chalky warmth. Rough cement, cool and grounding. Weathered ceramic glazed in deep ocean hues. Even woven baskets, lined and planted, can offer a soft contrast against stone floors and wood decks. Don't arrange your pots in a line. Let them group in clusters, odd numbers, varied heights. A tall plant beside a squat one. A sprawling vine beside an upright stalk. This interplay of scale creates rhythm and depth. It turns your patio into a living collage. Now lift your eyes, because vertical space is too often neglected. Let vines climb timber trellises or descend from beams in loose spirals. Suspend hanging planters from the rafters of a pergola, where they sway gently and filter light. Consider a green wall, modular, irrigated, alive, that turns a bare boundary into a tapestry of leaf and root. And between it all, restraint. A curated ecosystem. This is not a jungle, and it is not a botanical garden. It is controlled wildness, a living design. You are composing a space that breathes and grows, yet remains attuned to proportion, to placement, to presence. What results is more than a lush backdrop, it's a living veil. One that filters sunlight into soft green shade, that rustles and shimmers with the afternoon wind, that shifts the scent of the space with every drop of rain. Plants become more than living things here. They become structure, scent, movement, mood. This is the beauty of tropical modern planting, not just that it surrounds you, but that it responds to you. When you step onto the patio in the morning, dew still fresh on the leaves. When you brush past a hanging vine and release a bit of fragrance into the air. When the shadows lengthen in the evening, and the silhouettes of broad leaves stretch against the walls. You are not just styling with plants. You are cohabiting with them. Sharing the space. Building a dialogue between breath and breeze and the patient, quiet life of green things growing. As the sun begins to dip low on the horizon and the golden hour stretches its last warmth across the patio, something subtle but profound begins to happen. The tropical modern patio, so alive with movement and breeze in the daytime, begins its slow metamorphosis. What was open and expansive now becomes intimate. What was vivid becomes gentle. The light changes, and with it, the mood. Lighting in a tropical modern space is never just about illumination. It is about invocation, of calm, of closeness, of quietude. It is about shaping shadow as much as casting glow. It's the soft choreography of light and dark, touch and atmosphere. Begin with the layering of light. Daylight is a single source, but nighttime requires many. Scatter solar lanterns among your plantings, like fireflies nesting in the foliage. Choose those made of woven rattan or rice paper, materials that mute and dapple the light, allowing it to flicker and breathe. From overhead beams or the frame of your pergola, hang pendant lights. Woven bamboo, jute, or cane shades feel especially at home here. They filter light softly and cast patterns that echo the shadows of palms and vines. These are not harsh spotlights. They are moonlight analogs, glowing orbs that hover above conversation and reflection. Add quiet drama with recessed uplighting. Tuck it at the base of large-leaf plants or architectural elements, beneath a bird of paradise, under a textured wall, or beside the base of a column. This light doesn't flood. It reveals. It creates a vertical dance of brightness and shadow, mimicking how the moonlight might caress the garden on a clear night. And then there are string lights, simple, timeless. Wrap them along rafters, drape them casually across beams, or let them swag from corner to corner like the memory of a summer gathering. Choose warm white, never stark. They should hum gently, like conversation fading into the late hours. But the soul of the evening might belong to flame. A fire pit, whether sculptural or simple, becomes the gravitational center of nighttime gatherings. Choose something low and minimal, a concrete bowl, a brass trough, or a rustic, built-in hearth. The flame should dance, not roar. Even a tabletop flame, a small ceramic vessel flickering at the center of a dining table, can shift the tone of the space entirely. It introduces a living light, a heat that is primal, ceremonial, magnetic. For smaller touches, consider ceramic oil lamps placed in quiet corners. Or scented candles that lay aglow with fragrance, lemongrass, sandalwood, frangipani. These become part of the multisensory experience, mingling with the rustle of palms and the sound of soft conversation or quiet music. Resist the urge to brighten the space too much. The tropical evening is not meant to be overexposed. Its magic lies in softness. Let the dark remain part of the architecture. Let it hug the edges, deepen the mystery, give shape to the quiet. Good evening lighting doesn't just allow you to see. It gives you permission to slow down, to linger longer at the table, to stretch out on a chaise and watch the silhouettes of vines sway above, to listen to the night. In tropical modernism, light is never an afterthought. It's a texture, a tone, a gentle prompt to pause, to notice, to feel. You are not simply lighting a patio. You are composing a nocturne, a quiet song of shadows and flickers, cast in woven shades and glowing orbs. This is the hour when the patio becomes less of a place and more of a state of mind. Not day, not yet night. Not inside, not fully out. Just a suspended moment, lit by intention, held by stillness. In the tropical modern patio, color is not an addition, it's an extension of the land, of the light, of the slow pulse of summer itself. It doesn't shout. It resonates. Quietly. Deeply. Like the faded ochre of a sun-bleached wall or the gentle green of moss after rainfall. Begin, not with pigment, but with place. What does the light do in the late morning? What hues deepen at dusk? This is your palette, colors that breathe with the outdoors. Not synthetic pops, but organic harmonies. Use earth-derived tones as your foundation. The warmth of sun-dried clay, the soft grit of sand, the dusty depth of olive, the coolness of charcoal, the muted burnish of ochre. These are not colors chosen from a chart. They are colors gathered from the environment, weathered, honest, and grounding. These hues invite calm. They slow the eye. They give the space a soulful neutrality, not blank, but poised. They are the backdrop against which nature shines and shadow moves. And into this backdrop, you introduce textiles. The tactile layer. The human layer. The invitation to touch and to dwell. Start with pillows, linen, cotton, or raw silk in sun-washed tones. Soft taupe, misty green, faded terracotta. They should look like they've lived here, like they've soaked up stories and salt air. Pair solids with subtle patterns, hand-blocked prints, loose stripes, or native geometrics in restrained palettes. Then, bring in floor cushions, upholstered poufs, or oversized bolsters. These are not just for sitting, they are for sprawling, for shifting the body into comfort as the afternoon stretches long. Use canvas or outdoor linen. Something sturdy, but soft. Something you wouldn't mind brushing your cheek against. Now define space underfoot. Lay down woven outdoor rugs in jute, hemp, or recycled fibers. Let them blur the threshold between earth and architecture. A rug doesn't just ground a furniture grouping, it slows time. It says, this is a place to pause. And then, the movement. Curtains are your sails. Hang sheer linen or gauzy cotton panels from a pergola or frame. Watch them catch the breeze like poetry. They soften sunlight, offer privacy without isolation, and turn a structural space into something more lyrical, more alive. Even small gestures, throws draped over the arms of chairs, tasseled parasols casting playful shadows, or hammock fabrics woven in sun-faded stripes, add to the layering of texture and tone. Every textile should feel like it belongs outside, but also like it belongs to you. They should carry a story, even if quiet. They should bear the imprint of use, a faint crease, a hint of sunfade, a slight fray at the hem. Because perfection is not the goal here. Ease is. Presence is. Atmosphere is. This is not about decorating. It's about clothing the air in softness, in story, in tone. The textiles don't just accompany the patio. They animate it. They whisper when the wind rises. They welcome when the sun lowers. They cradle the in-between. Let your color and textiles be quiet anchors in the open air. Let them feel like they've always been there, warmed by the sun, cooled by the evening, softened by time. At the heart of every tropical modern patio is something deeply human, the desire to gather. To share a meal, a moment, a story. This is not an ornamental space. It's a social one. And the design must reflect that, without forcing it. Imagine twilight descending. The sky just beginning to glow violet. The heat of the day softening into something golden. This is when the patio comes alive, not with noise, but with presence. Laughter in low tones. The clink of glasses. The passing of bread across a table lit by the last light of the sun. The dining table is your altar to togetherness. Choose one with the patina of time, a solid teak surface, warm and richly grained, that holds on to memory with every scratch and spill. Let it be wide enough for platters and candles, elbow room and conversation. There should be space to linger. Pair it not with matching perfection, but with mismatched chairs, a blend of woven seats, low-slung benches, or even stools tucked beneath. This isn't about uniformity. It's about rhythm. Each piece its own note in a calm, resonant chord. Cushions? Absolutely. Especially on hard surfaces. Opt for washable linen or canvas in those same earth-toned hues, sienna, olive, cream, rust. You're not decorating for effect. You're inviting comfort. The kind of comfort that makes people stay longer than they meant to. If space allows, carve out smaller rituals within the larger gathering. A corner bar cart, perhaps, a wooden or rattan frame stocked with citrus, sprigs of mint, a bottle of local rum. Not polished, but personal. Or a low coffee table, maybe stone or reclaimed wood, surrounded by poufs, where guests can casually recline with a bowl of olives or a cup of spiced tea. Even a built-in bench along a wall, layered with long cushions and dappled in filtered light, can become the favorite place to settle in, book in hand, music just barely audible in the background. Don't forget the practicalities, storage tucked beneath benches, or trays that let you carry everything out in one trip. Design should never get in the way of ease. Because what you're building isn't just a space, it's a mood. A sense of hospitality that extends from the physical to the emotional. And most importantly, don't overfill. Leave room for motion. For chairs to be pulled close. For children to run barefoot. For someone to get up and dance without bumping into anything. The patio should breathe, even when it's full. Because this is where meals stretch lazily into hours. Where you pour one more drink. Where quiet conversations become memories. And the warm air hums with the feeling that this, right here, is what summer was meant for. Let the space hold space, for joy, for depth, for simple connection. That is the essence of dining and socializing in the tropical modern way. In every beautifully designed outdoor space, there should be a moment that is not for performance, not even for sharing, but for you. A still point. A ritual. A breath. This is where tropical modernism becomes more than aesthetics. It becomes sanctuary. A retreat not just from the built world, but from business itself. So ask yourself, what brings you peace? What renews you? Maybe it's a hammock, gently suspended between two posts, the fabric faded by sun and time. It cradles you like a cocoon, swaying with the breeze. Overhead, fronds rustle. Around you, dappled sunlight flickers across your skin. It becomes a place not just to rest, but to dream. Or perhaps you prefer grounding stillness. A meditation mat placed on a raised platform of warm wood or cool tile. Surrounded by leafy plants and washed in natural light. Here, with the quiet scent of jasmine in the air and the soft murmur of distant wind chimes, presence returns. You find yourself again. Wellness isn't just a state of mind, it can be encouraged by how we design our environments. Include a small altar or shelf, modest, personal, intentional. A carved tray for incense. A few worn books. A stone bowl for shells or smooth river pebbles. A candle whose flame flickers in the morning hush or twilight hush. These are not decorations. They are anchors. Water and fragrance deepen the sensory experience. A ceramic bowl filled with water and floating blooms, hibiscus, frangipani, even citrus peel, adds color, scent, and ritual. Place it where the sun catches it. Let the light dance on the surface. Or set up a small water feature, a tabletop fountain or a bamboo spout, so that even in silence, there is sound. Soothing, fluid, constant. And don't underestimate the power of sound design. Wind chimes made from shells or ceramic, whispering in the background. A small Bluetooth speaker hidden in the foliage, playing soft ambient music or the distant rhythm of waves. Even silence, true, intentional silence, can be part of your design. Texture invites touch. Place a woven throw over your lounge chair, or a lightweight cotton shawl on a nearby hook for cooler evenings. Let these be objects that offer comfort and encourage pause. And let this space be flexible. One day it's for quiet yoga, the next it's a nap spot, or a reading corner, or simply a place to watch clouds move across the sky. Let it respond to you, evolve with you. Because tropical modernism, at its core, is about balance between energy and rest, light and shadow, openness and shelter. And your patio, no matter how large or small, should honor your personal rhythm as much as it honors the sun and the breeze. So add something just for you. A ritual. A retreat. A corner of calm in the heart of summer. Not every home has the luxury of a sprawling terrace or wide-open veranda. But in tropical modernism, scale is not a limitation, it's an invitation. An invitation to design with greater care, more intimacy, more intention. A small patio or narrow balcony, when styled with clarity and restraint, can become a jewel box of atmosphere. Begin by thinking vertically. When square footage is tight, the upward plane becomes your greatest ally. Hanging planters, lush ferns, trailing pothos, delicate orchids draw the eye skyward and soften the harder edges of walls and railings. Even a single suspended basket, filled with cascading greenery, can shift the entire perception of space. Install slim, open shelving for a curated collection of natural objects, a weathered stone, a potted succulent, a few driftwood fragments. Keep it light and minimal, each item should feel essential, chosen. Let the gaps between things create a feeling of calm. Foldable or stackable furniture becomes your toolkit for flexibility. A folding rattan chair, gracefully curved and low to the ground, invites you to sit with a book or a morning coffee, then disappears when the space is needed for something else. A compact bistro table with a stone or tiled top becomes the center of everything, dining, journaling, connecting. Consider mirrors as quiet alchemists of space. A weathered or bamboo-framed mirror mounted on one wall can reflect light, echo the surrounding foliage, and double the sense of depth. Position it to capture something alive, a swaying plant, the changing sky. Softness is key. Choose pale-tone textiles, off-white, sand, clay pink, sage green, to keep the palette airy and open. A small woven rug underfoot anchors the space. A linen throw pillow on your chair adds both comfort and visual invitation. These subtle details keep the area feeling breathable, not cluttered. Light matters even more when space is limited. Hang a paper lantern or a woven pendant light from above to cast a warm, ambient glow after sunset. Or let string lights trace the perimeter, creating a sense of boundary without closing the space in. And don't forget scent. A small incense bowl, a potted basil or mint plant, even a hanging sachet of dried lemongrass tucked near the doorframe, all of these introduce layers of atmosphere that go beyond the visual. In a compact patio, every object must earn its place. But that doesn't mean restraint has to feel cold or sparse. It means precision. It means curating a space where every material, every plant, every beam of light plays its part in harmony. You're not just designing a nook. You're creating a pocket of peace, a threshold between your interior life and the living world outside. A single chair. One plant. A quiet corner. Sometimes, that's all it takes. And so, we arrive at the edge of the breeze, the quiet close of a space shaped not just by hands, but by rhythm. This is the essence of tropical modernism. Not a trend, not a formula, but a dialogue. A gentle, ongoing conversation between structure and softness, restraint and abundance, the known and the wild. You're not decorating a patio. You're cultivating a relationship with the outdoors, with the season, and with yourself. In these open-air spaces, architecture becomes less about control and more about choreography. You guide the sun, you invite the wind. You don't force nature into submission, you give it a frame in which to move freely. The materials you choose, the layout you consider, the plants you nurture, all become participants in a slow and sensory ritual of living. And through it all, you begin to listen differently. You hear the rustle of banana leaves like a kind of applause. You notice how the shadows stretch and curl across stone at midday. You understand how sitting in a certain chair, at a certain hour, with a certain breeze, becomes an experience not unlike meditation. Maybe you started this journey hoping to refresh your balcony or restyle your patio. But perhaps what you've uncovered is something deeper, the idea that outdoor design isn't about escaping daily life, it's about returning to it with clarity, simplicity, and grace. Whether you have a sprawling garden or a pocket-sized perch, this philosophy scales. It adapts. It breathes with you. Let your outdoor space become a sanctuary, not separate from the world, but seamlessly woven into it. Let it echo your pace, your warmth, your sense of wonder. Thank you for joining us here on Charette Theory. If this exploration sparked new ideas for your own open-air haven, we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your spaces, your stories in the comments below. And until next time, stay inspired, stay rooted, and keep designing not just where you live, but how you live.